Hey, what is up guys, JP Land here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're back in the JP Land studio. I have a lot to talk about with you guys when it comes down to Universal Studios Hollywood, so let's get rolling. I really don't like using my YouTube voice. I feel like it's so cringe, especially when I'm in the parks. I want to talk natural, but I can't really open a video with a natural tone. It has to be exciting, it has to be fun. But yeah, it's really cringe, especially in person. Yesterday I got some weird looks. I'm like, what's up, YouTube? But we have a lot to talk about when it comes down to Universal. So let's get started. I went to the park yesterday, if you didn't watch the update, and Animal Actors is basically completely gone. The facade of the show is still standing, and I'm actually surprised that they still have the Animal Actors sign still up. But everything else behind it is basically gone. They have a little bit of the stage up, but it's coming down very soon. Within the next week, all of Animal Actors will be gone. It's crazy to see this happen. Universal is innovating their theme park, and in order to do that, since it's a small theme park, you have to remove attractions that have previously existed and make them bigger and better. With Universal's current state of space, they're very limited. They can't really tear down any more sound stages, and considering they just repainted a lot of sound stages, I don't think they're going to be taking down any other sound stage anytime soon. So in order to get new attractions, we're gonna have to wait for them to demolish older attractions and replace them with better ones. They did this with Terminator 2 3D, and I was actually really disappointed in what they did with it. They replaced an amazing attraction with something subpar and not really enjoyable. It's good for the kids, but only if your kids are tall enough to ride. And I think as soon as your kids are tall enough to ride, they've already moved past their minion stage of life. So I don't know. The minion height requirement, the only reason I say that is because the minion height requirement is 42 inches, and I don't know any 9-10 year olds that are that tall. I think at 13 or maybe even 12-13, that's when they're about 40 inches tall. So I think the height requirement is way too high for minions, but it makes sense because the lap bars don't go all the way down, and it's a pretty loose ride, so anyone could just get out of the cart and walk out of the ride. So that's why it's so low, but they could also make some exceptions. I know this is all required safety protocols, but you know, like they could be a little more lenient, allow the smaller children to be towards the center of the cart. So hopefully sometime soon they decide to remove the Despicable Me ride. I know it's not going to happen anytime soon, but if they were to replace it, they could just put a better Despicable Me ride and market it as a better attraction in the theme park. An all-new Despicable Me ride based on Minions: The Rise of Gru or whatever next Minions movie is coming out. And that might be a good way of replacing that older attraction. They could even build a dark ride or a trackless dark ride with Despicable Me and telling the story of Minions. That would be really cool. But I know it's not going to happen anytime soon, and I know they probably won't take that approach. I think they're fine with Despicable Me. I think they're content with their current state of the park, and they shouldn't be, because even with limited attendance and even with Super Nintendo World, people aren't staying in the theme park past 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and the park closes at 10. So they have to either reduce their park hours, which they'll receive complaints. Let's say it's a busier day in the park and people actually decide to stay in the park. There is nothing for guests to do at night, and they'd close the park early. So they need more attractions in this theme park to make it a full day theme park, and even a 2-day theme park. The only reason this is starting to become a 2-day theme park is because the line for Mario Kart is always so long, and guests can't really use Express on the ride. So that's why this theme park is kind of becoming a 2-day theme park. Unless you stay from open to close, that's the only way to get majority of the rides done by like 2 o'clock. Because in the first hour of the park being open, you can knock out basically all the rides at the lower lot, and then I think the rest of the rides open at 10 o'clock. So if you head back to the upper lot, you could just knock down Studio Tour, which also opens at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whenever the park opens. And then you could go on Simpsons right after and then go to the other rides in the area because everything else opens at around. Wizarding World also opens with the theme park. But I wouldn't head to the Wizarding World first. I'd go down to Nintendo World, knock out Mario Kart because I don't want to wait 2 hours later on in the day. Speaking of Mario Kart, there's been a lot of complaints, especially through short form content and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. People have been expressing their feedback to the land in a very negative way. And I saw this coming, especially because of reservations and some other factors that come into the land, like the power-up bands. You can't hit any of the blocks without a power-up band. So I saw this coming, but the main complaint that I've been seeing is the wait time for Mario Kart and that the ride doesn't really deliver. And it's not worth it. So I also saw that coming, but not really. People were disappointed that it wasn't Mario Kart and it was just a VR headset type of ride, and you could just go do something similar at home, which is true. You can basically watch this ride. There's not much to the ride, so it literally feels like you're driving 2 miles an hour in a car and you don't have any control over the steering wheel. It's a dark ride. So it just doesn't make sense that they would title this ride Mario Kart. They should have named it like Mario's Adventure, or I don't know. Or with this ride system, they could have even made Luigi's Mansion. That would have been even better. But they wanted to market it as Mario Kart because everyone knows and loves Mario Kart. But people were complaining that this isn't Mario Kart, that this is just a VR headset ride. And I could see that. I could see their perspective. I think it's a good ride, but everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And the general public is pretty harsh when it comes down to theme park attractions. They're going to say, hey, well, we could go to Six Flags for a better time. And less waits probably. So it's all about that, and that's why Universal is building a roller coaster, probably opening by next year or the year after. Anyways, I know most of you came here to listen about my ramble on Halloween Horror Nights, so let's talk about Horror Nights a little bit. Recently, they announced that a Five Nights at Freddy's movie is in development, and this has caused a lot of hype within the gaming community and the Five Nights at Freddy's fans. I think FNAF in general is a whole separate niche out of the gaming community. I think a lot of people that play FNAF don't play other games. They might play like Minecraft or something, but they typically don't play other games, and they usually stick with the FNAF games and whatever else they have to do in life. But FNAF is a very strong fan base. It's almost stronger than The Weeknd. So I could highly see Five Nights at Freddy's making way to Universal Studios Hollywood's Halloween Horror Nights this year. Now, I know I'm going to have 1,000,002 comments saying, well, would they really put a maze before the movie comes out? But I think that's the wrong way of thinking about it. The way I think about it is, first of all, it'll be promoting the movie, and second of all, they don't have to base it off of the movie. They can put it in the Blumhouse maze, but everyone understands the concept of Five Nights at Freddy's. This movie is not going to show anything we didn't know already. It's just gonna show like the backstory between Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. There's a bunch of like fan theories of like what FNAF really is and how all these animatronics started and what the point of this Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is and what the point of the games are. And so I think this movie will clarify a little bit of that. But for the most part, we know and understand the concept of Five Nights at Freddy's. You're a security guard in a Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant that has animatronics that come to life at night. And your goal is to survive the night. And you also have to do different tasks. So it won't be very difficult to translate into a Halloween Horror Nights maze. You could just be walking through the restaurant and have animatronics jump scaring you while you walk through the restaurant. And that's probably what Horror Nights will do if they do bring Five Nights at Freddy's. So don't tell me that they wouldn't make a maze on a movie that isn't out yet. And also, speaking of that, they've done a maze on a movie that isn't out. They made a maze to promote a movie that was coming out later in the October season. I think it was Crimson Peak. The movie came out later in October, but Horror Nights starts in early September. So they used the haunted house to promote the movie in a way. So the only reason I said the fan base might be a little stronger than The Weeknd's fan base It's because last year they heavily used the weekend to promote the event. That's why it was sold out nearly every night. And they doubled down. It wasn't only a haunted house. They had a bar. They had weekend themed food and etc. So my point being here, they will definitely use Five Nights at Freddy's to their advantage because Five Nights at Freddy's is a huge IP, almost bigger than the weekends. So remember how fast tickets were selling out last year? Imagine how fast they're going to sell out this year. As long as they bring Five Nights at Freddy's at least. They also have Chucky, which is a big property as well. But I don't know. I feel like Chucky is an older property with older fans. And I feel like when you bring a property like Five Nights at Freddy's, you're bringing newer people into Horror Nights. And I feel like people that like Chucky already visit Halloween Horror Nights and visit horror events. But if you bring a property like Five Nights at Freddy's, you're introducing a whole new wave of fans into new atmosphere, into new territory. And this is how you generate loyal fans. You first bring them to one haunted house, tell them what you're capable of, and obviously they'll be visiting the other haunted houses as well. They're not only going to go through the Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house. So once that's done, they'll most likely buy another ticket to come back to the event because they weren't able to hit all the mazes or they wanted to try the Five Nights at Freddy's food. And they'll end up having so much fun that they'll want to come back next year. And that's how you create new Halloween Horror Night fans. I'll tell you this, and I know this is really surprising for most of you to hear because I never really talk about this, but I used to be terrified of Horror Nights. I used to not like anything horror. I couldn't even do the Haunted Mansion until I was 9 years old. I think I was also scared of Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland too. Anyways, the point being, I couldn't do a lot of Halloween things until I went to Halloween Horror Nights and did my very first haunted house. Sure, I peed my pants, but I had a lot of fun, and I came back every year after that. It was so much fun, and it became a part of my yearly Halloween tradition, I'd say. So I'd go at least once or twice a year until last year, or maybe even the year before. I started buying the Frequent Fear Pass, which allows you to visit multiple nights, so I started coming back every night. And it started becoming a little bit of an obsession. Last year, for example, I didn't visit any other haunts. I didn't do any other thing. If the days were Thursday through Sunday, I would be at Universal from 4 p.m. all the way till 3 in the morning. And that's how you would find me. I would be at Horror Nights every single night. I wouldn't skip a night. I skipped 2 nights last year, but that was only because I had to go on a cruise. If I didn't have that cruise, I would have easily gone to every night of Horror Nights. I even went on the 1 or 2 Wednesdays they had last year. This year, I don't think I'll do the same, but I can assure you that I'll be at Horror Nights a handful amount of times. But that'll wrap up today's video. I love doing podcasts, by the way, and I really want to keep doing it. And if you guys hit the like button, I'll keep doing it. I just really need that support and basically push to keep doing more podcasts. But if you are enjoying, be sure to drop a comment, and I'll heavily consider doing more podcasts soon. I'm JP, and how they say in the movies. That is a wrap. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.